Welcome to The Explainer, money. It's a word we use literally every single day. We trade our time for it, we totally stress over it, and we absolutely rely on it. But money isn't just currency. It's not just, paper or some digital numbers bouncing around on a screen that we use to buy stuff. It is way deeper than that. I want you to shift your perspective today. Think of money as a game. It's a system, a highly complex structure, and honestly, it is a silent, powerful force that completely shapes modern life. So today, we're bringing everything together to decode our source material on mastering the systems of wealth. So are you playing the game or is it playing you? It's a pretty heavy question, right? But it's one you really have to ask yourself. Because the truth is, from the exact moment you start earning, like from your very first paycheck or even a childhood allowance, you automatically enter this massive financial system. You become a player on the board. And here's the kicker. The system doesn't pause to ask if you've read the rule book. You are in it. You're navigating its currents, whether you actually understand how the whole shebang works or not. When you enter the game blindly, you kind of just fall into a set of automatic moves. The source material outlines these 5 basic steps perfectly. First up, you work. You gotta generate income, right? Then you spend that income to cover your life and just basic survival. Third, you attempt to save whatever happens to be left over. Fourth, you inevitably borrow. Maybe it's for a car, your education, or a house. And finally, you might invest, often just crossing your fingers and hoping for the best. This is the baseline sequence. It's the default script that almost every single person follows the second they enter the financial system. It's kind of like waking up and seeing the code behind the matrix for the very first time. On one side, we have what we're explicitly taught by society: jobs, salaries, and basic survival. We're trained on how to earn money, how to show up, and how to just get by. But then, consider the other side. These are the invisible rules the system actually operates on. Things like ownership, leverage, investing, compounding. These mechanics of wealth, they are rarely taught in standard classrooms. And because society keeps us so focused on just surviving, the true game stays entirely invisible to the vast majority of people. Let's dive into an incredibly powerful concept from those invisible rules: leverage. Leverage is basically just using systems, assets, or capital to multiply the outcome of your effort. Think of it like writing a piece of software once, but then selling it to 1 million people. That is leverage. And this is exactly why some people pull ahead so much faster than others. They stop relying solely on their own 2 hands. When you finally understand how to multiply your efforts, money fundamentally begins working for you instead of you working for it. But what happens when you don't know those invisible rules? Well, you fall into what our source material identifies as the trap. And tragically, some people will spend their entire precious lives caught right here. They're perpetually chasing income just to keep up. They're constantly paying down debt that limits their choices, reacting emotionally to financial stress. Ultimately, they're really just surviving month to month. The true danger of this trap is that it completely consumes all your energy, leaving absolutely nothing left in the tank to build systems for your own future. To escape that trap, you absolutely have to understand the silent mechanics of the board. And perhaps the single most powerful silent force in all of finance is time. Time changes everything. I mean that literally. In the money game, time is the ultimate multiplier. It's either the invisible wind at your back pushing you forward, or it's the headwind working against you. And it depends entirely on how you play.
So how does time operate in your favor? Through a brilliant mechanism called compounding. Compounding is simply taking small, smart decisions and repeating them consistently over years to create massive differences. Consider this for a second. If you double a single penny every day for a month, you don't just end up with a few bucks. No way. You end up with over $5 million. That is the mathematical certainty of compounding. It inherently rewards patience. When you combine time with smart, repetitive financial decisions, the results aren't just good, they are literally exponential.
Okay, so what vehicles do you actually use to compound your efforts and create all that leverage? The secret here is ownership. Modern wealth is almost exclusively built through ownership. We're talking about owning businesses, holding strategic investments, creating intellectual property, building scalable digital systems. You see, a salary is earned, but wealth is owned. Ownership is the absolute structural foundation that creates the leverage we were just talking about. Yet, as perfect as these systems and mathematical formulas sound on paper, we have to talk about the human element. Because the money game isn't just mathematical. It is deeply, fundamentally emotional. It's the fear of losing what you already have. It's greed pushing you to take totally unnecessary risks.
It's comparison, constantly looking at what your neighbor or some random stranger on the internet has. And of course, the constant heavy pressure of expectations. Make no mistake, human behavior and our intense emotions shape financial outcomes just as much as any spreadsheet ever could. And honestly, managing those emotions is harder now than it has ever been. Why? Because the board we're playing on is evolving at breakneck speed. Today's financial world moves faster than at any point in human history. We are navigating explosive advances in technology. Artificial intelligence is reshaping entire industries in months, not decades. Digital systems and decentralized networks are completely altering how value moves around the globe, and markets are interconnected by the millisecond. The money game does not sit still. It is constantly shifting, and it demands that its players evolve right along with it. Amidst all that rapid change, we really need to ground ourselves in a hidden truth presented in our source material, and it's this: there is no perfect financial system. Let me just repeat that. There is no perfect financial system. There's no magic formula, and there is absolutely no guaranteed path to success without taking on some risk. But understanding the game, knowing the actual difference between what we're taught and those invisible rules, that completely changes how you move inside of it. It fundamentally changes your entire strategy. Which brings us to the ultimate question. On a board this complex, with forces of time, emotion, technology, and leverage all colliding at the exact same time, who really wins? Like, who actually comes out on top of the money game? Well, the winners aren't always the people who earn the highest salaries. Often, the true winners are the ones executing a very specific playbook. They understand systems rather than just clocking in and completing tasks. They practice relentless patience. They aggressively acquire ownership. They utilize leverage to multiply their efforts. And they consistently think long-term, like decades ahead. The winners are the ones who make one fundamental mental shift. They stop working merely for money, and they start building robust systems around it. And that leads us to this incredibly powerful conclusion straight from the source. Money is not everything, but understanding money changes freedom, choices, and opportunities. It's really not about worshiping currency. It's about unlocking your own agency in the world. When you grasp the mechanics of this system, you literally buy back your time. You expand your horizons, and you secure the ultimate freedom to choose your exact own path. Once you understand the game, you stop moving blindly. You're no longer just a piece being pushed around the board by a set of invisible rules. You become a player with vision, intent, and strategy. Remember, behind every financial system, behind every single market movement, there is a story most people never even see. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. The rules are laid out, the board is completely set. So, what will your next move be?
This is CorpFile. Inside the world of big brands. Subscribe to explore the real stories behind the companies that shape our world.